Alpha.
Hey there guys, my name is Masson. Welcome to my part 2 of my webinar series with Sony Alpha South Africa. I'm very excited about this one. It's going to be an amazing series. Thank you so much for joining me. Just to remind you guys that this is a 3-part webinar series. I did part 1 a couple weeks ago, part 2 is today, and we have part 3 coming up in the next few weeks as well. So be sure to go follow at Sony Alpha SA and follow me as well to keep in touch with all the updates and to make sure that you are fully informed for what we've got planned for you. I'm going to run through a couple slides today, talk about what I've got to show you. Just to start off with today, we're talking about on the day kind of streamlining your wedding process. So we're going to be going through all of the pre-wedding communication, on the day shooting for wedding photography, the best AF settings that I've found, customizing your camera to make sure that it works specifically for you. I'm going to be talking about wedding photography client contracts as well, text replacement, and a lot more stuff. So it's going to be a very kind of comprehensive talk today. I'm very excited for it. I have a couple things I want to show you guys quickly. Just a few announcements before we really start. There is a survey down below which we'd love for you to fill out. The survey gives Sony all of the information that they need to make sure that they customize all their future events just for you. So in the survey, it'll kind of go through a lot of stuff to kind of get the information that they need to make sure that they tailor specific webinars, talks, events around what you guys are looking for. So kind of make sure that the content that they're putting out is relevant to you. I also encourage you guys to ask questions. There is a question form below. I have a feed of all of your questions up in front of me now. I've got a couple questions here already, which is great. So you please do ask questions throughout the whole webinar, and I want to kind of go back and forth and answer questions as we go. At the end, I will take a bit of time, to take about 20-30 minutes to go through all of the questions that come through. But for now, please answer all the questions. If I see anything in the questions that specifically pertains to a section that I'm talking about, I will stop and answer those questions, and then we can go from there. Cool. So just to quickly recap, before we jump into part 2, I want to go through part 1, just quickly to recap. I got a lot of really nice messages on my Instagram, emails as well, and just people commenting, saying that they really enjoyed that webinar. It was a very intensive kind of business-focused webinar on wedding photography and streamlining your wedding business. I spoke about brand identity and how you can kind of separate yourself and how you can establish yourself as a proper brand in the industry. I spoke about service delivery, pricing, choosing your photographic style, how to market yourself with people in your industry, other companies in your industry, and how to separate yourself from the pack. It was a very intensive kind of workshop webinar that I hosted, and I highly recommend you guys to just keep an eye on the Sony MEA page, this website you're currently on right now. Keep an eye on the page because Sony will be posting the webinar to the page in the coming weeks. So you'll be able to rewatch that and kind of get all that information again. Even people who have watched it will appreciate kind of going through that information again. So definitely keep an eye out. As soon as it goes live, I'll also post on my Instagram page, so go follow me at @thematmasson on Instagram and on Facebook. I will announce it on there, and I'll make a post and let you guys know that part 1 has gone live. Part 3 of 3 is coming. So part 3 I'm very excited for because it's something that I'm really passionate about. With my wedding business, I love to streamline the processes as much as possible. I like to make sure that stuff moves quickly and fast, and there aren't any hectic delays when it comes to delivering images. So I'm able to deliver images within 10 days to my clients. So all of my images that after a wedding get selected and edited within 10 days of the wedding date, and I deliver those to my clients. My clients love that. It sets me apart from a lot of other photographers. And in part 3, I'm going to show you exactly how I've done that. It's quite a powerful thing which pulls a lot of clients for me, which I really love. but also it lets me shoot more weddings because I'm able to edit really quickly, and it also just frees up my time during the week. I'm going to be going through optimizing your Lightroom to be as fast as possible, importing your images the right way. Believe it or not, there are a lot of people who will import images into Lightroom and it completely destroys their computer. It's very clunky. It's a very difficult piece of software to get perfectly right. I'm going to show you guys how to fix that issue and how to get the best quality and the best speed going into Lightroom. How to select images quickly and efficiently. I've seen so many photographers go through image by image by image and nitpick and kind of go over the top when it comes to selecting images. And I don't do that. I do it nice and quick. I really want to kind of like motor through my selects. I'll show you exactly how I've done it, and I'll show you exactly how you guys need to do your selects to make them nice and quick. I'm also going to go through, part 3 is exciting. There's a lot going on in part 3. I'm also going to go through local adjustments inside Lightroom. A lot of photographers will take their images into Photoshop to do local adjustments, so to touch up blemishes or to smooth skin. But I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do that all in Lightroom to minimize that process, back and forth process. I'm going to talk about a lot of other stuff as well in part 3. It's going to be an awesome webinar, so I'd love to have you guys there for that one. But okay, let's just jump into part 2. This is just a little bit of information about myself and my businesses. I have 2 companies. One is called Mont Reverie, and we specialize in weddings, events, and lifestyle photography. And I have another company called Lux and Mode, and we specialize in commercial stills and video creation, as well as content creation and digital marketing for brands and businesses. So just so you guys know, I've done that. I've separated my businesses because I find it a bit easier to market to 2 separate businesses, to 2 separate sets of clients. So my wedding clients like to get the websites to be specifically catered towards weddings, and my commercial clients like specific commercial corporate stuff. And you'll find that if you've ever worked with both of those clients before, you'll find that they don't really like to see either one. So your commercial clients won't like to see wedding images on your websites, and your wedding clients won't like to see commercial and corporate images on websites as well. So it works really well for me. Please go follow me on those 2 pages as well. And while you're there, while you're on Instagram following everyone, go follow Sony Alpha SA. Sony's doing some amazing talks, webinars, pre-recorded sessions, and just some really awesome learning material over the next few weeks. Obviously, due to the lockdown and due to the fact that we can't host events right now, we're doing a lot of these live streams, a lot of pre-recorded sessions as well. So make sure you go follow Sony Alpha South Africa. There's that's at Sony, at Sony Alpha SA. Go follow them, and they're posting all sorts of amazing stuff at the moment. So that'd be awesome if you could go join them there. Just a little bit more. I host wedding workshops as soon as we're able to, as soon as the government allows these kinds of workshops. Again, we'll probably start hosting wedding workshops. I also do business coaching for creatives, and I host talks and webinars like this as well. Please do go follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Cool. So to jump into today's talk, I'm going to be focusing on pre-wedding communication, on the day streamlining your processes, and just making sure that you have the best possible wedding day you do and that your clients do as well. I have switched across to Sony for a couple different reasons, and a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about kind of pertains to that specific switch. The way that the autofocus works, the way that I can customize my camera, the way that I don't have to always use flash. I can just use LED lights during an entire wedding day. All of these things have helped me streamline my process and make sure that I'm shooting really quickly and really enjoying the shooting that I'm doing. So just to jump into the pre-wedding communication, I wanted to talk about controlling as much as you can before the wedding. And you might think, oh, that's very selfish for the photographers to do, but almost every couple that I've had has it's almost always been their first wedding. So they don't really know what to expect. They don't really know what's coming. They don't know what to expect on the wedding day. They don't know how to do the planning, and they're really kind of quite nervous. So by kind of telling the couple that you need certain things to achieve, your job in the best possible way, you're actually saying to them, you should trust me because I know what I'm doing. And by telling them, you know, that the best time for the photos is the specific time because the light is much better, you're saying to them, if you can do that, you can set your ceremony to say 2 or 3 o'clock, and that will guarantee we get that best quality light. But also, I spoke about this in part 1. Try and think about how you can say something to your clients that makes you that shows them that you care about them, that you're thinking about them, and that you're not thinking about yourself. So if you say to your couples, you know, let's have the ceremony at, highly recommend the ceremony at 2 or 3 o'clock, then you know that there's usually about 3 or 4 hours, depending on the type of wedding, until the sun will set or until the creatives will end. Then you know, then you can say to them, this will make sure we get everything that we need to get before the sun goes down. So you're saying, we care about you guys, this is what we've considered before anything, and you've made sure that that you're helping them out from the very beginning. So try and control as much as you can in terms of that before the wedding. Send through a timeline form along with your contract and along with your booking information. So whatever your couple needs to book with you, send through the timeline form, and I'm going to go through timeline forms in a little bit later in the webinar. But a timeline form will help them plan their day. It shows them what they need to consider. It shows them what you need to make sure that their day is as best as possible for them, and that your images that come from it are the best possible images that you can create. So send that through to them when they are signing the contract, when they're signing the booking information. By doing that straight off, you're saving yourself another email later on. And all you have to do is just send through a follow-up email later on. So you're saying to your couples, this is all the stuff that you need from us. Like, this is all we will ever need from you in terms of you know, the information that you're getting from the couple. That's the timeline form, contract, and the booking. Very simple, and it streamlines your whole process before the wedding day. I want to just also mention here, if you'll find that sometimes during a back and forth with the couple, some emails that they've sent through, specific emails that they're struggling with, perhaps your client gallery, or perhaps with a specific supplier not replying back to them and they're asking you for advice, you can let some emails sit. You'll find that some emails will actually resolve themselves. I've had this before where a bride will email me late at night, at 8 o'clock at night, asking me a specific question about when she should be getting dressed or something like that. And I kind of let that simmer for a little bit and respond back the next day. And I actually got another email back saying from her that she's only going to start getting dressed after her makeup's done, and she spoke to her makeup artist already, and the whole situation kind of resolved itself. So you don't need to really answer every single question that your couples are asking you immediately. You can identify the ones that are urgent, but for the most part you can kind of let those simmer a little bit. Something that I want to discuss in this talk is CRM platforms. It's customer relationship management. I have used CRMs before. I am actually kind of trying to transition away from the current CRM that I'm using. What the CRM does is it keeps a record of all your customer information, all of your emails. It can send emails for you. It can handle a lot of the kind of bulk. But I've found that with my CRM platform, it's kind of limiting me now. And it kind of forces me to operate a certain way with my business. So I'm not really enjoying that, and I'm kind of trying to move away from my CRM. I don't know if you guys have had any specific experiences with CRMs. Please do let me know in the comments, and let me know if some of the CRMs you've worked with, and we can chat about that a little bit later. But for me, I found that CRMs can be a little bit more daunting than they need to be, and it takes a long time to set up. So I like to kind of streamline the process in a different way. So I've streamlined my text replacement. I've done email templates as well. I'm going to show you guys all of that in a second. I love to reply to my emails, my couple emails, my client emails within an hour max. And you might think that takes a long time to type the whole email out. I'll get it on my phone, I'm driving, or I'm at someone else's house. I like to quickly type a response. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I've set up my text replacement on my phone and on my Mac to quickly and efficiently respond to emails and to respond to almost any type of communication that I get. I'm going to show you here quickly. Let me just switch across to text replacement. Okay, so this is a screen recording that I did just the other day, just to kind of demonstrate what I've done. So on your phone, all you need to do is go to your settings, go across to General, and then go across to Keyboard, and you'll see here it says there text replacement underneath keyboards. Text replacement is what I use all the time. So I'm going to click onto text replacement, and in here I have lots and lots of different templates, different shortcuts, different kind of phrases that I use to string out an entire email within the space of a couple keystrokes. And you'll see what I mean here. I've got for both of my companies, Montreverie and Lux in Mode, I've got hashtags here. I've got full email. Yeah, I've got here. This is one for my hashtags. You can see there. I've got one for my full email response as well. And we're going to quickly make one here. I'm going to make the shortcut SNY, and I'm going to type a message here. This is welcome to my part 2 of the Sony webinar, and you'll see it's going to type out. I'm a little bit slow with typing, clearly. With Sony webinar, there we go. And now I'm going to minimize my settings, and I'm going to go across into my notes on my phone right now. As soon as I finish typing this essay, it seems. There we go. So I'm going to switch across to my notes, and you will see I'm opening up notes now, and I'm going to open a new note, and I can just type in SNY, and you'll see on the text replacement in the middle of the screen, it gives me the option to paste that in. So I can type in 3 letters and press spacebar or press the middle there where it says the recommendation, and then it automatically kind of puts it into the text. So this is something I love. I do it with my hashtags. You can see there. I've done it with. I have a referral group that a couple of referral groups on Facebook and Instagram as well, and I will just type CTR. And it'll automatically write the whole message out. I'm available, website, email, thank you so much, and it sends it off. I can enter in all my hashtags onto an Instagram comment straight away by just typing that in. It's a nice quick way to actually, kind of get the text out there without kind of making it, typing this whole thing out every time. Or if you do copy paste from notes, to go into notes, you'll see here, I just typed out an entire email. So that's my entire client email in 4 keystrokes. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that now. Let me just go across to my notes. Right, so here are my notes. This is on my computer now. So the nice thing about iCloud and the way that Apple works is that you can actually type in anything I want here. I'm going to type in CTR, and you can see it types out that response there. So it says I'm available at Montreverie. I can type out I have another one, LXM, which is a brand development thing that I do. It's just to reach out to new clients that I've got, and I do that on Instagram. I send those messages out on Instagram. I can also type in MMWE, and that will put out my entire client email. So this is my initial response email that I send out to all my clients, and it gives me some space to just customize. I can just type in here, we love your wedding venue, and have shot there many times. So I can customize it as well. I don't have to have it a specific way. You might think, okay, cool. What if we don't, because I've put here, thank you so much for reaching out to us and congrats on your big day. We would love to capture your wedding day. Luckily, we are available for your special day. So we've said, luckily we are available, but you're probably thinking, what if we don't know if we're available for their date? I have MMWU. Let me just write that again, MMWU. And that will put another email. And in this email, it says, as soon as you have decided on your wedding date, please let us know. So I've got every single variation of an email saved into these text shortcuts. I know that seems crazy, but the amount of time that it saved me over the years is amazing. I also have ones for a wedding planner. So if a wedding planner contacts me, MMWTP is for, it's a third-party one. So TP stands for third party for me. As soon as I type that in, it sends it out to a third party. And I can do this for MMW hashtags. I have 2 sets of hashtags that I use. I'm trying to think what else I have. BD, LM, BD, I think it's LXM. I have a whole bunch of these. I've even done it for short things like thank you or SM, which is so much. I've really gone crazy with this to streamline the way that I contact my clients. I can't even explain to you how much it's helped me. So I really hope that that helps you guys. Please let me know in the comments what you think of that. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of that. I think that that's quite a cool nifty feature that. So I'm going to go across to my next slides now. I'm going to talk a little bit about client timelines. Okay, so with your client timelines, you need to tell the client what you need to do the best possible job. This is in their best interest. This is something that they want. It's something that they would appreciate you actually giving them that advice and showing them what they should do. You can make a timeline form for your clients. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I've done that now, and help them see what you need. So help your clients see and realize what will help you do the best job that you can do. If your clients are spending a lot of money on you, this is like an absolute no-brainer, something that they absolutely want. They don't want to spend a lot of money on a photographer who doesn't get what they need to do the job properly. And most clients know that we're not magicians, and we can't just snap our fingers and create this magical wedding without any specific planning or any sort of structure. So they do want this. Your clients do want you to actually be specific about what you need for the wedding day. Be specific about what you're saying to your clients. It makes you look smart. So even if you aren't smart and you haven't done a lot of weddings, try and consider things that they would potentially need. So if you're going to say to your couple that you would like to shoot in the vineyards of the wine farm as opposed to next to the dam, you can explain to them why. The vineyards they might have a better sunset, they might have a better light. You can say that you've considered the trees next to the dam and that they would add a lot of low light. It might not actually create the best images. So by saying to them that you've already scouted the venue, you're showing them that you've already considered that. But be specific in terms of the timeline as well. Tell them exactly why they need to be there an hour early, why you need to be there to shoot the prep photos, why you need to be there to shoot all of that stuff. And I'm going to go into it now a little bit more. I'm not sure if you guys can read that. Let me know in the comments if you can read that. I can zoom in, but I'm just going to go through this. This is my timeline form, which I sent out to all my couples. Just ignore the branding there. I always do it with I do it with my logo and my letterhead. So it says here, this document will help you structure your photographic coverage for your wedding day. It informs us of the overall plan and times for the day and helps us to keep specific time frame to ensure we capture everything perfectly, or what did I say? Everything important. So that's something that really helps. It helps them see why they need to complete this. It kind of gives them a little bit of a paragraph, a little bit of information. I say that we require a specific amount of information, a specific amount of time for certain parts of the day. We have indicated this wherever applicable. So I'm really kind of explaining that to them. And I've also said here, because this can be quite daunting for them to actually get this document and not know what to do with it. I've said here, we recommend that you start backwards from when you have planned your ceremony, accounting for the time required for each aspect. So you'll see here for the decor shoot, I require about 30 minutes to shoot decor. It lets me shoot all the wides, the mid shots and the tight shots. Lets me get a couple long exposures if there are lots of staff in the room. And it just gives me enough time to make sure that I get what I need to get. I've said here, please ensure that your decor company is finished setting up by the time we are scheduled to start shooting. This is important because you don't really want to have to work around the other service providers. And it's an issue that every photographer has. Every photographer runs into that issue where there are flowers still being done, there's a decor company setting up. So if you can try and tell your couple that the decor company needs to be done by a certain time, that helps you completely with your decor shoot. I've said here, please ensure all access discs or access codes we may need are arranged and available for us prior to arrival, so that we don't have to worry about if there's a specific access code that we have to get. Sometimes couples don't know that the venue that they're using has access codes or restrictions on entry. And we need to have that information way before the ceremony starts, you know, way before the reception when the guests might go in. We need to be able to get in early, 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So considering that beforehand, putting it onto a timeline, asking your couples to read the whole timeline, those two issues you have at the beginning of the day are generally sorted, for me at least. I don't have to worry about decor companies or flower companies still setting up because we've planned that. And I don't have to worry about access codes, gate codes, anything like that, any discs that we need. It's all sorted, and we've already thought about that already. And by doing that, by saying to your couple, these are the things you need to consider, you're also kind of subconsciously saying, we are experienced in this, and we know exactly what's coming up. We know what to expect. So I think that's a really important first two things to consider. Right, let me just jump across to Groom's Prep there. So with Groom's Prep, so this is how I like to structure my times. I like to shoot decor, Groom's Prep, Bride's Prep, and then pre-ceremony, ceremony. This is the way that I've always done it. I prefer doing both. I prefer shooting Groom's Prep and I prefer shooting Bride's Prep myself. My assistant, my second shooter, is there with me shooting different angles, capturing stuff during those times. All we need to do is just tell the groom that he needs to start getting dressed a little bit earlier. They're generally perfectly fine with that. I've never really had issues with grooms getting dressed early. I've also put your time required, 60 minutes, usually is enough time for Groom's Prep. It's actually maybe more than we need. I usually take about 45 minutes for Groom's Prep, including portraits. So 60 minutes gives me a little bit of contingency time in case something goes wrong. You'll notice that I think I have said here somewhere on the timeline, please account for any travel time. I think I have. I'm not sure, you guys can tell me if I have or haven't, but I usually always just say please account for any travel time. I've also said here under important notes under the Groom's Prep, I've said here, please place all accessories, cologne, shoes, rings, etc. on your bed before we get there, so that we don't have to worry about finding everything. They know that this is something that they have to do. It's one of their checklists for the morning. All they have to do is put all their stuff on the bed. We arrive, we grab the stuff, we start shooting it, and all the detail stuff can be done within 10 minutes. We don't spend 20-30 minutes trying to find everything, because sometimes it can be ridiculous. For the Bride's Prep, I'd say the exact same thing. I said here your makeup about. I've also said ask your makeup artist to be finished with your makeup about 30 minutes after we arrive, to ensure that we have the best use of time. I do like to get a bit of the makeup process. I also know that it takes me about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to shoot the details. So I'll shoot details, shoot makeup. Bride will be fully complete with her makeup. So then we have a full hour to get her dressed and do portraits. That's usually perfect for me. So I've kind of considered all of these things beforehand, and I think that it's nice to actually put that out into a document, and to be able to send that across to your couples. Right, are you guys able to comment there? I haven't seen too many new comments. Just let me know if you can comment, if you can hear me clearly, if everything's going good. I'm going to switch across to the second section of the timeline now. I have a pre-ceremony section here. I like to get to the ceremony area 15 minutes before my bride gets there, because I want to make sure that I'm able to capture the people arriving, getting ready, kind of sitting down, chatting to each other. All of that stuff forms part of the story for me, so it's important for me to get there a little bit earlier. It also gives me some time, if we're working with video as well, to set up for video. You know, it's just a nice buffer, just in case. So I always say to them, time required 15 minutes, and that's 15 minutes before the ceremony starts. Simple. Ceremony, it always depends on the couple, so you know, it really depends on what their type of ceremony is. But I've said here, one of the issues that we always face, you know, during ceremonies is very harsh light. Especially if it's outside in the middle of the day, you can get very, very harsh light on the face. So I've said here, in the form here, I've said, if you're getting married outdoors, if possible, try to arrange to stand under a white shaded area like a linen gazebo, And a lot of decor companies will actually put up something really beautiful for your couple to stand under. Won't cost a lot of money, but it'll change the photos like you cannot believe. So if that's something that they're willing to do, it's a great way to soften the light that's coming from the sun and really get some nice light on their faces. So I've put that in there, because if I have a couple who really cares about images, the photos, they will consider everything I've asked for. So this helps me minimize any issues that I might have afterwards. It helps me with the editing process as well. So by having beautiful soft light, I don't have to worry about dodging parts of their face underneath their eyes if there is harsh shadow or anything like that. So it really makes my life a lot easier. Something that I have, I always know that is going to happen. There's always going to be some form of congratulations coming up, after the ceremony. It always happens, no matter what your couple says to you. There's going to be some sort of congrats, kind of like chatting with the family and stuff. And I like to account for that time, because it makes sure that the time is accounted for, so that you don't spill into your creative shoot. You have that time and it's logged in there. It's usually about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. During this time, the bride and groom will typically receive congratulations from the congregation before we commence with group photos and family photos. So it's just a nice thing to keep in mind. And if your ceremony runs short, if your ceremony finishes within 30-40 minutes, you can still, and you have allocated this congrats time, you can also use that time later on to your advantage. You can do, creative shoot time, more creative shoot time, or you can say to your couple, look guys, I want to make sure that you guys are nice and rested for the creative shoot. So take some time just to spend some time with your family now, have a drink quick, and in 10 minutes I'll call you back. So if you don't use that time, then you can always use that in some way. It's really useful in my opinion. So after that, usually I like to do family photos straight away after the ceremony. So ceremony, congrats, and then family photos. I like to get it out the way, because it can be very difficult to do family photos later on in the evening if you haven't prepared for it. It can be an absolute nightmare to do later on in the evening. So try and do your family photos as soon as possible after the ceremony. So tell your couple that you need a full list of a full list of the family photos, the first names of everyone in the photo, the relation to the couple. So mother of bride, mother of groom, father of bride, and Aunt Susie. You can use those four people, but then you can ask what mother of the bride's name is, mother of the groom's name is. Try and get that full list of photos. Try and keep it to 10 to 15 images, 10 to 15 different family photos that'll help your life on the wedding day as well. You don't need to do 100. You can do 10 to 15 and let them know that if there's any more than 10 to 15, they'll need to allocate a time in the reception specifically for photos. I've done that for Hindu weddings and traditional weddings as well. So during those weddings, I understand that we do need to have a specific time, but for the most part, you can do that straight away after the ceremony. And try and get that full list from them. Tell your couple that you want image 1, and then list the people and their names. Image 2, list the people and their names, the relation and their names. This will help you like you cannot believe. You just get your assistant on the wedding day just to call out everyone, call out the next group of people, the exact relation and their first names. Not only does it help you be more efficient, it helps you make a better impression, because old Aunt Susie is saying, oh my word, they're calling me by my name, and she's appreciating that, she's loving that, and it's a really nice gesture. So I highly recommend you guys do that. If there's nothing you take from this, it's just do family photos lists. They are absolutely hugely valuable. And then obviously you have your creative shoot that can go on for however long you want. It's really not an issue. And then we have the reception. I say to my couples, please provide us with your reception program, and then the reception programs get sent to us, and then we're able to work off that. I'm not too stressed about reception programs. I'm able to do receptions quite easily. I'm going to talk about on the day now, shooting with confidence. This is something that I get a lot of questions on all the time, shooting with confidence. People struggle to kind of feel comfortable in their own in their own skin, in their own shoes when it comes to working and shooting. So I want to just go over a few steps, and if you guys have any questions at all, please do keep sending them through. I'll be answering any questions at the end. First thing here is trust yourself. You might think, I'm new to photography, I can't really trust myself. Well, then you need to practice every day. You need to work every single day, go out and take 100,000 images and see what each image looks like. Go through and edit all of those 100,000 images. Really put the time and put the work in to make sure that you can trust yourself, to make sure that what you're doing on the wedding day is a complete extension of you, and you're not trying to fake something else or fake someone else. You're being you, and you're able to trust yourself. On a wedding day, I'm not even just relaxed, I'm having the best time. I'm enjoying it, I love it so much. I'm completely confident, I don't have any issues in terms of confidence or feeling comfortable. And that's come from experience. It's really mainly experience. So that practicing every day, shooting every day, but trusting yourself as well. You have to believe in the time you've put in before the wedding in terms of learning and growing, and that will help you on the day to really execute the way that you want. Another thing is practicing every day and knowing your camera. I can't tell you how many photographers I've spoken to who say, you know, I know my camera, I know how to use it, and then, you know, you ask them some very simple questions and they flounder. They don't really know what they're saying. So really put the time in to look through your camera, go through all of its settings, change every setting. Try to break the camera. I know that sounds ridiculous, but try and break the camera to the point where you don't know what you've done, and you have to try and puzzle your way back to figuring it out. I've learned so much just from going through cameras, trying to change every setting and trying to know the camera as best possible. So now this has now become an extension of my brain. I don't actually really think much when I'm using this. It's just I pick it up and I shoot and I do exactly what I need to do. It's made my life so much easier. So I've spent about the first 2 days when I got my A7 III, I spent the entire days, literally the entire days, going through every setting, changing every setting, adjusting every setting, looking through all the menus and trying to understand what the cameras were about, because the Sony cameras in particular are very complicated, and they give you a lot of information. So there's a lot of menus in here, and you can customize literally everything. And you might think, oh, it's very difficult to do, but I'm going to simplify that all for you guys in the next few slides. I'm going to go through exactly how I've customized my camera and really made it like an extension of my mind. Something I think is really helpful for shooting with confidence is making sure that your client knows your style of shooting. Engagement shoots is a very valuable thing here. If you can tell your couple to invest in an engagement shoot, that's going to make them so much more confident in your work, and you're going to feel more confident with them on the wedding day. I have almost always done an engagement shoot with my couples, so that's like, what is that, like over 200 weddings now. I must have done maybe 300, 400 engagement shoots. I don't even know the numbers, but I think it's roughly about that. But by doing that many shoots, doing that many engagement shoots, I've learned how to shoot couples first of all. I've learned each couple's specific intrinsic values, how they how they are in front of the camera, how they like being photographed. And to me, that's like absolutely changed my life when it comes to actually shooting. Shooting weddings. So try and consider doing engagement shoots for your couples. It'll make you much more much more confident when it comes to shooting. Discuss your specific style of shooting and how you like to shoot beforehand. If you like to be, I don't think there's any wrong way to shoot. Let's just get that out the way. I don't think that you have to be a specific type of person to be a photographer or a wedding photographer. I don't think that's true. There are photographers who are quite timid and shy, and they're able to get the most beautiful photos, and that's great for them. And there's some photographers who are very confident and almost aggressive and boisterous, and it works well for them, and they're able to get the images that they need. So I don't think that that's something that you need to worry too much about. I think it's good to be compassionate and be considerate to others, but I think if you can just communicate that style to them, before the wedding. Make sure that they understand what to expect, what type of work you do, so that on the wedding day you can feel comfortable being yourself. Talk to them about how you like to shoot. I mean, for myself, I like to shoot kind of more as a fly on the wall for the most part of the day, and when I need to step it up and actually start kind of directing and kind of commanding, I'll do that. But I kind of like do a bit of a mixture. But I like to talk to my couples about that beforehand, so that they know what to expect. I think it's always important to be considerate on the wedding day. In part 1, I actually discussed being considerate on the wedding day, and if you have a set of family photos and you have a family member who says to you, look, we'd really like to get one more photo, you know, then you can do that. You don't have to rush. If you're going to go late by 2-3 minutes, it's not going to be the end of the world. You can do that extra photo for the couple or for the family member, like if it's the mother of the bride, and she wants you to do an extra photo. Do it. There's no reason why you can't do that, and it's nice to be considerate. You'll make a good impression on the couple and on the family. So, and something I just added this last night to the presentation. Just thought about it, and to me, this is your passion. If you're doing photography, I don't know anyone who was forced to do photography. Like, you know, I think a lot of people are forced into other careers. They're forced to be, you know, an accountant or a lawyer because their family wanted them to be that. But I don't really know of too many stories of, you know, you're a photographer and you were forced to be a photographer because your family made you a photographer. It doesn't really happen like that. You're doing photography and you choose to do photography because it's your passion. It's because it's something you love to do. So you need to own it. You need to trust yourself, and you need to push forward and actually execute and make sure that you're following your heart in whatever you're doing. I know it's a little bit cheesy, but I promise you it makes a big deal. If I'm feeling down a little bit, like intimidated or a little bit anxious about a wedding, I'll just remind myself that I'm literally able to do exactly what I want to do for my career. This is exactly what I love. I'm following my heart, I'm doing my passion for a job, and I'm getting paid a lot of money to actually follow my heart and to actually you know, to have fun, it's so weird to me that I get paid to have fun. But anyway, that's another story. Cool. I'm going to talk a little bit how I shoot tactically and how I've streamlined my my camera and the way that I shoot to kind of to shoot quickly and easily, to minimize editing. So first things first, I know a lot of photographers are dead scared of flash. And yes, you can go on courses, you can learn how to use flash, that's perfectly fine. But there are, you know, for me, one of the biggest selling points to using a Sony camera was the ISO. I'm able to shoot, and I've got some images later on which I'll show you, I'm able to shoot images all the way up to 12,000 ISO and deliver those to couples, and there's no issue to, I mean, I've shot creative images, like proper printable images at 8,000 ISO, and I've not had any issue. I'll show you one just now. And I use LED lighting. I use these two. I have one big LED panel, which actually you can't see, but it's right here. I'm touching it now. I have another one behind me, that guy there, which I use on every single wedding. And I've actually shot dancing with just an LED light, with that little one behind me. I've shot all my dancing at 1/500th of a second. I've shot it at ISO 45000, and I've been able to get dancing photos, freezing movement with LED lights because of the high ISO. It's ridiculous. So LED lights are, if you struggle with flash and you feel, or if you're just feeling lazy, to be honest with you, if you're feeling lazy and you want to try and do something a little bit different, try out using LED lights. It'll help you because you know exactly what the exposure is before you take the photo. What you see is what you get. It's light. That's what it is. With flash, you obviously don't see it, and it flashes, and that's what you get. So think about that. Try it out. Give it a go. And you know, you can try and give LED lighting a go. If it's for you, that's great. If it's not, that's okay as well. There's certain situations where I will use a flash, but for the most part, I love using LEDs. It works perfectly for me. I just want to go to a quick question here. What is your go-to lens, and what mode do you shoot on? Manual, aperture, or aperture priority, shutter priority, etc. I'm just going to answer this question, Alex. Thanks for the question. I'm going to answer it now quickly because this kind of ties into my entire, the section here, shooting tactically. I shoot everything on manual mode. Because I'm shooting, let me see if I can just cut here quickly. So I'm going to quickly show you guys here. I'm going to quickly cut across to my other screen here. So you can see, with the Sony cameras, I'm seeing exactly what I'm getting. So if I turn the brightness all the way down, I'm going to see that happen in front of me straight away. If I turn it all the way up, if I make the aperture wider, I'll see that happen in front of me. So I can shoot everything, literally every single thing in manual because it's changing right in front of me. There's no issues at all. There's no delay or anything like that. There's no test shots. I'm shooting everything in manual mode because I'm seeing exactly what I'm changing. Every setting I change here will result in a direct and immediate impact on the exposure on the back of my screen or in the viewfinder, depending on what I'm using. So to me, that's huge. I shoot everything in manual now. I used to take a lot of test shots, aperture priority, take the photo, check the back of the camera, and realize that I'm 2 or 3 stops under. Adjust my exposure, take the photo. I can't believe I worked like that. It was ridiculous. So I love that I get to see exactly what I'm getting beforehand. Because I'm doing that, because I'm getting everything in camera correct, all my editing is so quick. You can imagine like the number of images that I used to have to fix because of exposure issues, because I would do test shots and I'd try and get the exposure right. I don't have any of that issue anymore. So all of my images that go into my Lightroom are perfectly exposed because I'm using the screen or I'm using my viewfinder to check the exposure while I'm taking the shots. Like, it's an absolute game changer for me. So that's it. Manual mode, just to answer that question, I use manual mode all the time, literally every single time I'm shooting. Cool. I've got another question here, Jonathan. How's the weather in Johannesburg? It is very cold. I'm just going to quickly show you. I have a blanket to warm me up because it's very cold at the moment. So yeah, shot for that. Cool. Right lenses, use the right lenses at the right time. Guys, I mean, this kind of goes without being said, but at the same time, a lot of photographers will struggle with, you know, getting in a church, for example, putting on a 50mm and standing in the very back of the church, kind of feeling quite cramped, maybe right next to the couple, kind of in the corner maybe, and feeling cramped in. So consider the lenses you need. If you know that you're not going to need to zoom in or out, if you have enough space back there and you can move with your feet, then a 50mm might be fine. I personally like to shoot with a 35 and a 85, but if I'm in a cramped space, I will shoot with a 24-70 G Master, and I will shoot all of that, the whole ceremony on that G Master. It's a 2.8 lens, so it's not as wide as most, you know, prime lenses, so I won't be able to get 1.8 aperture. But if I'm shooting at 2.8, I can trust my cameras. These cameras can shoot, like I said, 4,000 or 5,000 ISO, no problem. So I'll shoot the ceremony at that ISO if I need to. So, you know, use the right lenses at the right times. I love, like I said, 35, 85, that's my like favorite combo. Sometimes I feel like the 85 is a little bit too tight though, so I'll go 35, 50, and that works perfectly for me. Just one more thing, I also use the A7R4, which lets me crop in. So that shoots massive 61 megapixel files, and it lets me crop in while I'm shooting. So if I'm shooting, I just press one button, it goes straight in. I won't show you exactly how I've set that up, but I might show you kind of something similar just now. But I press one button and it crops into 1.5 times crop, and you can see that it kind of like zooms in. So sometimes I'll just not even put a 50mm on. So my 35mm lens becomes a 50mm because I can kind of crop in a bit. So it works great. Like I absolutely love that. I just want to quickly go to another question because the questions are all related to what I'm talking about. Marriott asks, hey Marriott, how are you? Marriott asks, are you talking about studio lights? So Marriott, just to recap that, I'm using LED lights. These are just LED panels. There's one behind me here as well. And they're just basic LED panels which I use for most of my shooting, for most of my wedding stuff as well. They're very simple, there's nothing too fancy about them, and you can adjust the brightness as well. You can control the brightness from a remote, so I quite like that. They're really cool. You can use studio lights on a wedding. You're asking specifically about studio lights. You can use studio lights on a wedding if you're very good at shooting with flash. So if you feel comfortable with that, I'll use studio lights on all my commercial work, but I like stuff to be nice and quick on wedding days, so I stick to LEDs. Cool. Think ahead before you shoot. So if you're going to be shooting at a specific venue and you know that the venue is in a very low area and there's lots of mountains around you, you might need to realize that the sunset time will be a lot earlier than you thought because the horizon's a bit higher. So try and consider that before you get to the venue. You don't want to get there, have planned this entire this entire timeline with your couple and not have any clue when the sun's going to end. Sunset's going to drop. So it's like you need to really plan that and try and consider that beforehand. Think before you shoot. So you can try and plan like a mind map of where you're going to go on the wedding venue on the wedding day. So plan section A, section B, section C, and you can kind of go through that beforehand. If you see any specific shots during the ceremony that you'd like to shoot at, think about that, try and factor it into your timeline that you've built in your head, and that will help you kind of think before you shoot. It's a really good skill to have and to be adaptable as well. Like I've said, why I shoot Sony is because of the ISO. It's insanely good. I'm able to get perfect exposures while I'm shooting, perfect autofocus. I'm going to show you guys the autofocus just now and how it works. I've got a couple demos. I don't have real people here, but I've printed some models that I've shot, some brides I've shot. So I'm going to do a little bit of a demo with the autofocus in a little bit. And then one more thing is to get 100% on the same page with your assistant. So if you can try and work with your assistant every weekend, really try and put the time in with them, it's going to get you guys on the same page far quicker, and you'll be able to get a lot more accurate, a lot more consistent results for your clients. They will know what you need. They will know how to move the way you want them to move. They will know what to do with lighting. You know, it's a no-brainer. Work with one assistant as much as you can. Right. So here I have just a couple photos. I don't know if you guys can see that perfectly. It looks good on my side. So here, I just want to show you shooting tactically. I thought of this shot before the whole wedding day, and I saw the shot way before we started the ceremony. This is like thinking about when you can do specific shots. So later in the night, I wanted to get a shot with the fairy lights in the background, right there above, right above the couple, and the venue in the background as well, through the vineyards. So we actually had a speed light behind the couple, and it was quite dark, but the camera was actually able to pick up specifically where the couple was, grab the shot, and get this perfect shot, which I really love. Here's another one here, similar shot, speed light behind the couple, and just a little tip as to how I actually managed to get this, because there was no other light at all for the specific shot. It was completely dark. So what I did was I used my phone just to light the subject from behind. So my assistant was behind the couple, and he just kind of shined it so that their silhouette was just kind of touching the light. And my camera I was using the A7R4 for this, and I was able to pick up that specific spot and get it perfect, get this perfect shot. It was just one speed light, simple shot behind the couple. Now this is the shot that I was talking about a little bit earlier. This is the 8000 ISO shot that I got earlier. Like mind-blowing. This was double, I remember this specifically, this is double my previous camera brand that I used. It's double the maximum aperture that I could actually shoot, which is just insane. And I'm able to deliver this to a couple. The couple loved this shot. It was right outside the Oyster Box in Durban, and they really wanted like a different kind of shot there. So we managed to get this with an LED, guys, just with an LED behind them. You can see the light shining by their feet, kind of shining through them like that. Kind of adds a little bit of drama to the shot. And I used a simple LED for this. I think it was my bigger LED, the one that I'm using here to light me. Simple shot, no flash, nice and quick, just a really quick, awesome shot. And it was just simple to get, really awesome. If you guys have any questions, again, just drop them in the comments down below. This is a shot that we did that is just straight out of camera. There was no editing done to this. And the reason I put it in here is because I want you to see that the exposure is pretty much perfect. I could see exactly what I was getting, on the back of my camera. I didn't need to, I didn't need to take a test shot for this specific shot. It was straight out of camera, no editing, just literally grab the shot. And because I'm seeing exactly what I'm doing, I don't have any of that issue. It's just literally just straight. I can see exactly what I'm getting. It's just amazing. So this was with the A7R4, and this is a crop of that initial shot. So I can zoom in just so you guys can try and picture that. Like, look how much detail is in this shot. I can crop in as much as I want and still get some really great detail, which I really love about these cameras. Right, so I know that was quite hectic and it was quite a lot to that. Thank you so much for sticking through. If you have any, please keep sending through the questions. I'll get to them in a little bit. I'm going to go through some autofocus settings with you guys now. So I've got this camera here, which I've plugged into my monitor, my viewfinder here. And I'm going to just show you quickly. I'm going to cut across to the camera that I'm using. So I have a couple different photos here. Let me just switch across to the full screen. There we go. So I've got a couple different photos here, and you can see that the camera is finding it's got a little white square around the face that that it's focusing on there. So if I half press my shutter and take that photo, it'll take that shot no problem, and it's focused on her face perfectly. So even though these are just pictures, these are literally just pictures on the on the wall. I don't have people here, so I can't exactly shoot people. But this is what I've got. So deal with it. You can see here I've got the focus box right in the middle. That focus that I've got on right now is called zone focus. The focus area there. So my favorites are wide, zone, and flexible spot. These are the three that I use all the time. Wide will kind of focus on any part of the image. You see that? It'll find her face even at the bottom, at the very top, like that, across to the side. It'll track her face. It'll find her eye like that, literally. And it's tracking her face and her eye no matter what. So that's what wide does. It's an amazing way to kind of get everything in the scene in focus, not in focus. It tells your camera to focus on anything inside the scene, and it doesn't really overly specify all that information. So I'm going to switch across on my camera to zone now, and you can see this is what I had earlier. So zone focus lets you gives you you see the little gray squares that I'm moving around here. It tells you that it wants to focus on something within those gray squares. So if you have a face in that gray square, it'll focus on that, and it'll focus on that it'll even focus on it if you've kind of moved it across like that. So no matter where your face is inside that block, it'll focus on it. Just a quick one. I've also set up face registration on this camera specifically for the bride in the middle of this set here. So I'm going to show you guys how to set up that face registration and what it's doing now. And what actually face registration even is. So you can see if I go across back to this, let me just focus there for a sec. If I have my camera just across like this, let me just go a bit closer. You see that purple, it's got a pink or purple square there. So I've programmed the camera, I've told the camera that her face is the most important face here. So if I have this right in the middle like that, the focus point right in the middle, it'll focus on her face, it'll prioritize her face over everyone else's. If I move it across, you'll see it tells me that she is priority face. She's the most important face in the scene. So if I take this photo, it won't focus on her because of the focus point. It's out like that. It's just on, you see the gray box is just outside the focus area. But as soon as I bring it in here, it takes over and it says that she's the most important face. So that is called face registration. I'm going to go through that just now, just to show you exactly where you get that setting in your camera. It's an absolute game changer for a wedding. So you can imagine going to a bride at the beginning of the day and saying, "Hi, bride, I want to quickly just take 2 photos of you." So you take 1 photo of her. I like to do 2 photos. 1 photo of her with her not smiling, and then 1 photo with her smiling. And that will then, you can then prioritize that, program that into your camera to tell your camera that that's the most important face. So in a sea of people, it'll find that pink square, it'll lock onto her face. Mind-blowing how it's able to do that, but it's amazing. I'm just going to show you guys quickly how to do that. So we go into your settings on your camera here, and I've made a little My Menu setting here for face registration. Here, face registration, you can order the new one. So I just have her face in. I programmed that in a little bit earlier. I'm not going to get up and show you exactly how to program it in, but all you do is press new registration. You put her face in the middle. You press enter. Well, I'm a little bit too far away. Yeah, so it's a little bit far away, but I'm not going to get up and do it now. And then all you're doing is saying new registration, program that face in. And then you can even prioritize it. So you can have the bride smiling in image 1, the bride smiling, the bride without smiling in image 2. You can have 3 and 4 being the groom, and then anyone else that you want on the wedding day as well programmed in. It's just like a completely insanely powerful tool. Sade has just asked me a question on the chat, which I want to go to now. Let me just switch back to my slides. Sade has just asked me, do you use back button focusing? And I don't at all. As soon as I got the Sony camera, I didn't need to. The focus points are so accurate here that, and they're so widespread. So you can literally get a focus on the very edge of the screen if you want. So by doing that, I'm able to tell the camera, this is where I want you to focus. It's going to focus specifically on that area. It's not going to focus on anything else. And I don't ever need to focus recompose. So you know this, focus, recompose, focus, recompose. I don't ever need to worry about that because my focus point is always going to be somewhere in the frame. So I don't use back button focusing at all. Thank you, Sade, for asking the question. I don't use it. I just use the top one. I use these 2 buttons for different things, and I'll get to that just now. I use AF on and AEL for different things. So I've customized that, but I'll go through my customization. So for me, I don't like back button focusing. I just like to set my focus point with my joystick here, or I like to touch my screen because you can touch the screen and change the focus point. And then you can kind of literally set it exactly where you want. I'm going to switch back to the camera just to show you guys the other focus point that I use, and it's called, let me switch across here, give me 1 sec, full screen. There we go. So I'm going to use another focus area that I like. It's called Flexible Spot L. There's M and S. So S means small, L means large, and M means medium. I like to stick with L because I'm lazy. And you can see there already, it's found, even though the gray focus point is not in the frame, it's not on her face, you can see that it's highlighted that purple square. So it's literally still choosing her face as the primary focus point. It won't focus on her face if I half press the shutter and it's on another face, but it'll say to me she's priority, so you need to move the focus point to her, or I can just switch it across to zone, and no matter what, it will prioritize her face and her eye. Do you see that? So these are the 3 that I use: wide, zone, and focus area. These other ones are very intense. They're very, very powerful focus points. It's called lock on AF and expanded flexible spot. Those are brilliant for shooting sport, if you're going to be shooting sport or something like that where the subject is moving rapidly. So yeah, try and go through your settings and really try and customize them. But those are the 3 focus modes that I use all the time. And then I've spoken about face registration as well. Zone AF is my favorite because you can set it to a specific area and move it around as you want. It's quite a liberal amount of space, so you don't have to really get it perfect like you would with single point. But it's a really nice one to work with. So I use Zone AF and I use single point all the time. And then all I do is touch the screen to cancel the Zone AF and to activate single point. So let me just unplug here for a sec so I can show you. All I would do is have my camera into Zone AF like it's right now, and then I just touch the screen like that, and it will cancel Zone AF and it'll say single point is activated. You can't see that right now because the HDMI info display is connected. It's a bit complicated. But all I would do is touch the screen like that, and it cancels the focus that I had already selected, which would be Zone AF, and it would set it specifically to single point. It's hugely powerful. Right, those are my autofocus settings that I use all the time. I hope that helped. Let me go through a couple of different examples. Alex has just asked another question before we jump into the rest. What would you say is the best battery grip? What would you say that the battery grip is generally worth investing? What would you say? Oh, sorry. Would you say that the battery grip is generally worth investing in for Sony cameras? You can get a battery grip if you desperately need a bigger grip. I would probably recommend not getting a battery grip and going for one of the newer models. This Sony a7R4 has a really nice beefy grip which you can use, you don't really need that extra grip, and the battery life is also very good on the cameras. The Sony Z series batteries that they've come out with last for a very long time. I've been able to shoot 3,000 images on I've shot up to 3,000 images on my A7 III on a wedding before. So I hope that gives you some idea as to how much battery this guy has, this A7 III. It's insane. So yeah, if you really want a battery grip, go out and get one. Obviously, it's definitely a preference thing. But for me, a battery grip isn't really the most important thing in a camera. Compactness, size, and ease of use, portability, that's far more important to me than having that extra kind of weight, which I'm not a big fan of. Right, I'm going to go through a couple different slides here. Wide AF. So with the specific shot, the camera was focusing on anywhere in the frame. So there were no specifications, and it was able to find her face just perfectly. And this is a crop in, so you can see it literally found her face perfectly, found her eye, and it got the shot exactly what I wanted. This just makes my life so much easier for portraits. So there's no specific moving stuff around to the exact focus point, focus recomposing when I need to get the shot perfect. I shot this at 1.8 and I was able to get the shot perfectly sharp without any issue. The Sony IAF works with eyes closed as well. So her eyes were closed here, and this is a crop in. And you can see her eyes are closed, but it's still focused on her eye just perfectly, and it got the shot exactly how I wanted it. Now this one is quite amazing. I still can't believe that this actually worked. This is a shot that we made at a wedding a while back, and this is what I saw. This is what I saw at the very beginning of the day. I'd planned for this shot. I wanted to get the shot. I wanted to get a nice, the shutter to get all the background information in the lights, the ambient lights, and I wanted a speed light just behind them, just to kind of let them pop. That's what I saw. That's what I saw in my mind. But this is what the camera saw. So this is what my camera saw, and this is what my camera focused with. So I was using the A7R4 here. I had single point focus here. And I don't know if you can even see it. No, I don't think you can. It's so dark. It focused on her dress, but in the dark like this, it managed to get the shot perfectly sharp in a pitch black area like that. I just can't believe that shot specifically. So, and that's knowing your camera, knowing your settings that you're working with. I use single point focus here. I got the shot right on them. I could see them, just see them in the viewfinder, and I got the shot on them. And the speed light did the rest in terms of the amount of light that came out. So to me, that's just the autofocus is such a hugely important part of a camera, and being able to trust my camera, to trust myself, and to work and to to make the most of the situations I'm given. I don't want to feel like my camera's holding me back. So know your camera, learn all the settings, and really get them dialed in. And I'm able to get shots like that. From this to that, which is just crazy to me. Right, so let me switch across to this camera here. And I'm going to show you all of the things that I've done to my camera in terms of the custom buttons, the My menu, and how I've got this to work exactly how I want. So I'm going to switch across to the camera, the interface on the camera. So I'm going to go into my menu here. And first thing, let's talk about My menu. My menu is, you'll notice that with the Sony cameras, you have so much flexibility here. You can change 100 different settings here. It's very, very powerful. Let me go to full screen, there we go. You can change 100 different settings here. There's so much going on. For me, I only use a couple settings on a regular basis. So I will go to my menu setting here at the top. It's on the far right. This is called your My menu. So I've got a couple settings that I've added in here that I use all the time. I always use date time setup so that I can sync my cameras. I use format, find a monitor as well, monitor brightness, face registration. These are all things that I use all the time. The My menu 2 is what I've set up here for video. So this is specifically to change video settings if I need to. I don't want to have to dig through menus, so I can do it quickly here. And this here, M1 and M2 memory, this lets me recall and program specific settings into specific numbers on my camera. So on the top of your Sony camera, you'll see a little dial. It says 1 and 2, and if you have an A7R4 or A9 or any of the higher end ones, it says 3 as well. So if I switch my camera into 1, it will automatically pull back a whole bunch of settings that I've specifically chosen for that mode, which is absolutely amazing. I can say, so all I need to do is program that into here. So let me just switch my camera across into mode 1. Let me just focus on something there. I'm going to switch across to mode 1. It's going to tell my camera that these are my settings, and I've specifically set up mode 1 for shooting video. So this is, all of the settings here are specifically customized for, hold on one sec. There we go. All of these settings here have been specifically customized for shooting video. So it set my picture profile to Cine 4, which I like to use. It set my focus mode to zone focus, my frame rate to 50p, my shutter speed to, 100 frames, 1/100th of a second. So it's really like change all of my settings to shoot specifically for video. So what that lets me do is change from, let me switch across here. It lets me shoot video. So I can shoot video now if I want to. And if I change the dial on the top of my camera across to M, it puts it back into manual mode and I can shoot stills. So I can shoot video by just dialing it like that and then starting my video shoot with all of the settings that I've got. I've got the picture profile on the bottom left there. You can see all that stuff's been changed. And I can switch it back to M. Now the nice thing about this is if I wanted, for example, this is my specific setting. Let's just hypothetically say this is my setting for stills. I can switch across to video and it recalls all of the settings that I had before. So it gives me that exact same exposure. If I switch back to manual, it sets it to the exposure I had before. So to me, this is like something I use all the time. Manual, and then 1 and 2 to switch across to video. And I'm going to show you guys just quickly how that works. My menu I've saved here, I've saved the M1 and M2 memory here, so I can click onto that and I can set my, so let me just switch across back to 1, and I can set this. Let's say I want to change my aperture down to f2 or f1.8 and I want to change my ISO to 250. I can then press menu and then go to my memory, M1, M2 memory, and click that and then program it in, and then it registers that into my top dial. So now if I change this all the way up to F14, this is, I'm in memory 1 now, I change it to manual and I switch back to option 1, it'll reprogram everything and set my camera's exposure exactly where I had it when I programmed it in. So you can try and imagine how powerful that is. You can just reprogram your camera to whatever you want it to be at any point in the wedding day, or at any point in any shoot that you're doing. Something that I use all the time, and it also lets me shoot stills and video at the same time. I can switch across by just flicking one little dial like that. It's absolutely brilliant. Right, so that is your My Menu, and let me just quickly show you exactly how to set up your My Menu. So you go into My Menu like this, you go to this page, My Menu Setting, you can say Add Item. So let's say I want to add a white balance setting to my Menu, something I do all the time. Let's just say that. We click on that and we can add it to any of the previous ones we've created here, or we can add it to another menu set. So it's going to add it to this one here. We can say added, I can say menu there, and I can go back into my Menu, scroll across to page 4, and there it is right there. So I've just added that specific setting into my Menu. So whenever I go into my Menu, I will find that setting in page 4. So you can customize your menu system to exactly what you want. You don't have to have it the way that it's default. You can really dial it in to what you want to make sure that you optimize and maximize the amount of time you use your camera. You don't want to be spending too much time changing settings on a wedding day, especially on a wedding day. You want to have it nice and quick. So spend some time customizing your My Menu, figure out exactly what you need to get that right. Now I'm going to show you guys just quickly, let me just switch across to the custom keys. And this is something that I actually spent, I think, about a day working on before I started shooting properly. Custom keys are like an absolute lifesaver when it comes to the Sony cameras, because you can change any button, almost any button on the camera. You can change it to do what you want. So you'll see on the top of the camera it says there's C1, C2, the back is C4, C3, and there's a bunch of other things you can change as well. The D-pad can be customized. AF on and AEL is also customizable. I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. So I'm going to go into my menu here. Let's just go across into your menu. Go into custom operation here, 1. In the top section you'll see there's 2 cameras. You go across to this one here and scroll across to 8 of 9. Here you can see custom key for stills. This is the one I'm currently on. Custom key for video, and then this is custom key for playback. I'm going to start off with the stills. This lets me change everything here. Essentially, the control wheel I can set to whatever I want. Some people like to have the control wheel set to ISO, but I don't like that because I like to be able to control it with a button press. I don't like to have the kind of control wheels, the ISO changing without me specifically controlling it. Custom button there, focus area. I've set my custom button 1 to change the focus area. So if I go into this here, I press on C1. I'm pressing C1 on the top of my camera, which is this button here, C1. It will change my focus area like that. So that's something that I love to do. I change that all the time. So I wanted that right on the back, on the top of my camera. C2, custom button 2, that is my focus mode. So you'll see if I press C2, it changes between continuous AF and manual focus. If I need to do manual focus in video, I like to be able to have it there if I need to change it. Menu, I'm going to go back to my menu there. White balance, I've set to custom button 3. So that's on the back of my camera. If you have a look here, right next to my screen, there's another button here which I can customize. So that one lets me change my white balance. So if I press that button, it lets me change my white balance literally just by pressing that one button, and I can switch between auto white balance, which I use a lot of the time, a Kelvin setting, which I can just dial in like that as well if I want to change it. You know, so there's a lot of versatility there just in the white balance. And you can see, guys, there's a lot of settings here that you can change. I've also changed custom button 4, which is on the back of my camera for silent shooting. This is something I use all the time for weddings. You can actually set your camera to shoot silently, so without that shutter click, which is very, very powerful for a wedding. You're not going to be taking lots of clunky photos. You can literally just get nice silent photos, you know, while you're shooting, which is just an absolute game changer. There we go. Let's go across back to custom settings. There's so much going on here. I can also, the multi SLC center button is the center of the D-pad. This lets me reset my focus area. So instead of having, let's say I've touched the, let me switch across here quickly. Let's say I have focused on the top right hand side of the screen, and if I touch the middle focus button, I've got it in video mode right now. Let me switch it across to stills. So let me just go and move that across to the side. If I've got it into the top right, I can press this button. It'll, oh no, sorry, it's actually this one, the middle joystick button. It'll set it to the middle. So if I press the joystick, it resets it right into the middle like that, just by pressing one button. So I like that because it lets you literally, if you're on a single point focus and you're all the way on the other side of the camera, you could press that center joystick and it'll take you straight back to where you need to be in the middle. Custom key, I'm going to go through a couple more, guys. We have here left button drive mode, that's set to default. Your right button is your ISO, which I've set as well. Down button I have not set on my A7 III, but the down button on my A7R4 is for 1.5 times crop. So it sets the crop mode, activates the APS-C crop mode, and it crops into the shot while I'm shooting. So it lets me get a tighter shot. It also decreases the file size. So it's a nice button. I've set that to the down button arrow on my A7R4. Then I have AEL, which is the top right hand button here on my camera. On the camera, it's here, right about there. The AEL button I've set to turn on and to turn off touch activation of the screen, because sometimes I want to touch the screen from the back and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to put the camera against my body like that and shoot. You know, it gives me that option to turn it on and off and to be intentional about that. And then finally AF on, which is right here, which I think a lot of people use for back button focus. I use that for I'm going to show you quickly. I use that for AF on finder monitor selection. So I'm going to unplug quickly from the camera just to show you exactly what that means. So if you have the viewfinder activated like that, I press one button and it turns off the monitor. Sorry, if I have the monitor activated just like that, I can press one button and turn on the viewfinder. So if I look through here now, I can see the camera, I can see what's going on. If I turn it off, it turns on the monitor. So it toggles between the two. I like that because it lets me be very intentional about when I'm bringing the camera up to my face. I know I'm bringing my camera up to my face, and I can tell the camera I'm bringing the camera up to look through the viewfinder. It takes away any delay that there could potentially be, or any confusion as well. If I have the camera close to my body, it might register sometimes as a that I want to look through the viewfinder if it's on auto. So that's something that I really appreciate, that they've let me customize the camera as much as possible. Now, everything I've just said is literally applicable in video mode as well. So I've got a whole new set of commands that I've customized for video. So some of them will change they'll follow the custom button of the stills, but I've got picture profiles here for video. I've really changed it up a bit. And I think, to me, that's something that is super versatile. If I'm in video mode, I know I have a different set of commands for the camera that I can use. If I'm in stills mode, I have a whole new set of commands for the camera as well. I can't show you this. Actually, I can. No, I don't have a memory card in. But I've also customized my playback buttons. So if I go into the custom key buttons here, I've set custom button 3 to add a rating. So it adds a 1-star rating to any images in my camera. So I can go through my, let me see if I've got a SD card here, quick. Just plug this in. Okay, so I can go through my, I'm gonna quickly go through my camera and see if I can find you, just show you, give you an example here. I just have videos on this one, so it might not be the best example. Well, let me just take a few photos quick. There we go. Right, so I've just taken a bunch of photos. Let's say I'm on a wedding day and I've just taken those photos of the creative shoot. I'm at the reception now and I want to just preview those photos. I want to kind of see what they're all like. I can then go into my Playback, and now these are the photos I've just taken, I can say star this image. Now you can see in the top there, I'm not sure if you can see with the specific frame I've got. Let me just see if I can adjust that. It's just added a star in the top of the image. Let me just see if I can fix that for you guys. Give me one sec. No, I'm not sure if I can. So I've added this specific button, the C3, to star the images while I'm reviewing them. So instead of me waiting to get home, I can start starring my images at the reception. If I have some time, I can go through my camera, star the ones that I really like. Those can be used for a preview for the client, or I can use those for uploading to Facebook as an album. I can literally do anything for those, you know, with those afterwards as well. So I can then sort all of those images in Lightroom with a star rating and just go through and edit those ones quickly for a preview for a client. So it's like being able to do that kind of stuff, to actually customize it really, really quickly in your camera, and to add those specific features is huge, 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 huge for me. So those are the things, guys. My menu, that's a huge one. It's a very, very powerful tool, that. Then we have the movie, we have the, let me switch across here. I like to go here and then to here. This is the custom keys. Your custom keys are super valuable, and you really, really want to make sure that you've customized them, that you've set them up. And then go through your entire camera. Go through your entire camera and analyze everything about the camera. Try and read through all the settings and make sure that you're fully aware and fully kind of, you know exactly what's going on with your camera, so that you can customize it the way that you want. I highly recommend you guys try and go through everything. Try and almost break your camera so that you can try and fix it afterwards. It's really, really important to do that, and you'll learn so much from that process. Right, guys, I want to just have a quick look and see where we are. So I want to just go through and just remind you guys that this is part of a 3-part webinar series. So we've spoken about marketing your business to book more weddings and shoot more work. I've spoken today about optimizing your pre-wedding and on-the-day processes. And then part 3 that I've got coming up will focus on your Lightroom editing process to make sure that you can streamline your Lightroom editing and cut your turnaround time in half for all of your clients. These are things that I think are really, really valuable and really important. And I think if you can try and put this whole package together, rewatch the seminars, rewatch the webinars as soon as they're up on the Sony website, you'll be able to get some really, really key information from all of these talks. So today I spoke about pre-wedding communication and on-the-day communication, customizing your camera, speaking about autofocus points, stuff that I use all the time. And I just want to see if there are any questions that have come through. Seems to be having a little bit of an issue with the questions coming through. But I'm going to actually just let you guys know now that if there are any other questions at all, please do just drop us. You can comment down below, or you can just drop us a message at Sony Alpha SA. Drop me a message at the Masson on Instagram, and we'll be able to answer any questions you guys may have. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolutely amazing time. Thank you so much for all the comments and for actually joining us. It's been lovely. Be sure to join us for part 3 of this webinar. We'll be talking about optimizing your Lightroom and really, really streamlining your editing workflow. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Matt Masson. You can follow me at the Masson on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, chat soon.